Amanda.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Mushoku Tensei Season 2, Episode 21. We found Roxy! We saved Roxy!
We saved Roxy.
I could not believe it happened. Last episode happened so quick. It felt like everything was like... I don't know. After getting the book for the teleporter labyrinth, it was very quick in advancing through it.
Which makes sense.
Makes a lot of
sense. This was the first time that Paul, kind of had a roadmap of how to get through this labyrinth safely.
But I'm like, Roxy's just been fighting this entire time.
Yeah, she's been in there a while. I bet she needs a nice nap and some good food.
I do wonder if that means we're going to, like, holy shit, we need to make sure that you are well rested before we go on in the labyrinth, so let's leave and then come back. We know how easy it is to get to the place that we've been at. But I don't know. I'm not really expecting I'm putting my expectations blank because I don't know how Rudy's really going to act now that he is a married man. In terms of the reunion with Roxy.
And in terms of Roxy's dream of meeting her dream man.
Yeah.
But one prediction I do have is that we are going to get a recap of Rudy saving Roxy at the very beginning of this episode.
Yeah? All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, is this when Roxy got lost in the first place? Trying to find her way out?
Wow.
Jesus. You're fucked. Like... Man. Oh. This doesn't feel real.
Does she recognize him? I don't think so.
Oh my god.
She doesn't recognize him.
Oh my god.
What's that voice acting right there?
I preferred the way, like, the intro of Roxy this episode to the ending of last. I kind of, like, I wanted to see where her mind was at other than her just fighting. I'm happy that we got to see her trying to escape from the labyrinth a bit. And the desperation she was at and her pleading for her life.
I also like the touch that the wall that she's basically pressed up against is the one that she was continuously marking through every attempt.
Makes sense.
I'm sure she wants a bath.
For a change. That's what made Rudy throw up.
The blush.
いきなり吐いたのが失礼だったな。本当にショックだったのだ。そういえば、シルフィーも俺に初めましてと言われて、帰ったらちゃんと謝ろう。原因はどうあれ、嬉しいことは嬉しいのだ。 ロキシーには体力の回復を待つために早く良くなるといいな。
この度はお手数をおかけしました。
気にしないでくださいまし。
例ならルディに言ってくれ。こいつが突然父さん神のお願いしますって壁をぶち抜いて。
ルーデウスさん。
She's
She
so
doesn't know how to act around
nervous.
気
him.
にしないでください。
But Rudy's just like, this is normal, you know?
より前みたいにルディ
Like you used to.
慣れ慣れしくはありませんか。
そんな師匠にルーデウスさんなんて呼ばせるぐらいならさんと呼ばせますよ。
おいこら、なんだそりゃ。
以前のように親しみを込めて呼んでください。ロキシー・ミグルディアは俺の尊敬する師匠なんですから。
She's gonna be like, dude, stop it.
はい、そうですねルディ。
はい、師匠。
大きくなりましたね。
人族ですからね。師匠はお変わりないようで。
そうですか。
How's she gonna feel about learning he has a wife?
ロキシーの体調を見ながらだが、次に探索をするのは3日後にしようと思う。
3 days.
3 days.
いやしないか。
ロキシーは早いうちに迷宮に入り直した方がいい。
師匠にはもうしばしの休養が必要なのでは。
前は知らねえかもしれないが、
We have to
迷
get
宮
her.
で死にそうな目にあった時にすぐに入り直
You've
さ
gotta
ない。
go right back
So
in.
it's not.
二度と迷宮に
Or
入れない
cur-
呪いがかかっちまう。
Oh, is that like more of like a mental curse?
Yeah.
Trauma. That's how
Wow.
this world sees
Sees trauma.
trauma.
とりあえず次は第三階層の。
ロキシーはこれを読んでおいてくれ。ルディが持ってきた。
こんなものが。明日あたり熟読しておきましょう。
よし。じゃあ全員。
It's a bit surreal to see Roxy and Rudy at a table together.
Yeah. As cool as ever.
ルディ、
何ですか師匠。
目の前をうろうろされると気が散ります。
すみません。
His like shoulder
こ
slump.
の本でいくつかわからない点があるので教えてください。
何でも聞いてください。それなら詳細がこちらのページに書かれていますよ。
それにしてもロキシーは本当に小さいな。
Fixed areas of
座の上
activity.
に乗せればすっぽりと包めてしまいそうだ。売られるんだろうな。
モンスターはどうしました師匠。
いえ、なんでもないです。
ずいぶん越してしまったからな。悔しいのかもしれない。背が低いことを気にしてるみたいだし。
Season
Whoa.
1 me is very happy about this, but season 2 me is like selfie. So
終
cool.
わりだな。
そろそろ魔力切れです。お願いします。
おう。
He does not understand yet why she's
そろ
acting
そろ第
differently.
四階層への魔法陣が見つかってほしいもんだな。
アップしたいところですね。
だからってまた壁をぶち抜かないでくれよな。
わかってますよ。
ルディ、ちょっと背中を貸してもらっていいですか。
どうぞ。
ルディと迷宮に潜ることになるとは思ってもみませんでした。
そうですね。
ルディ、
何ですか。
ゼニスさんを助け出して余裕ができたら二人で迷宮に潜り。
二人でですか。
はい、迷宮探索は面白いものです。もっと簡単な迷宮に。
いいですね。帰ったら二人で潜りましょうか。
約束ですよ。
ええ。
眠気が来ました。ちょっと寝ます。
おやすみなさい。
勢いで返事をしてしまったが、そんな時間があるのだろうか。余裕ができたらでいいか。仕事してる時のパウロはかっこいいな。
When he's not trying to be.
敵だ。
ストーンキャノンで先制します。
ルディ、いけません。水神流の技を使うとき。
Water God style
魔術
techniques.
を放てばカウンターが飛んできます。足を止めて援護に徹しましょう。
了解。父さん、泥沼を使います。足元に気をつけて。
Oh, I love that it's called Quagmire.
パウロ、私が左を。
お前はいつも左だよな。
壁側に剣があるとやりにくいんです。
True.
That's fair.
Some Dark Souls shit.
わがままかよ。
かの者に断罪を。アイスクレンチ。
Nice.
Love it.
父さんもしかして前より強くなりました？
あ、いや、そんなことはない。死より弱いぐらいだ。さあ、油断しないで行くぞ。
So cute! Oh, we know he wants to look so cool in front of his kid.
町と洞窟を行ったり来たりしなきゃならない。
That's so cool. She was just saying she needed a new weapon.
同じ時期に師匠がウェンポートにいたんです。
Ah!
ただだいぶ後でしたけどね。
家族のために師匠が創作に動いてくれて、
パウロさんたちにはとてもお世話になりましたから。師匠と喧嘩別れした後、仕事も行くあてもなかった私を受け入れてくれました。当時の私は舐められないようにと大げさに実力を吹聴していました。ルディのおかげで私は皆に教えたんです。一つ教えると工夫して10にも。
That's really true. I remember that.
師匠の教えの賜物です。
And your prodigy.
魔術を勉強し直して水曜級になり、性格も少し大人になったと。ですからブエナ村での2年間は、
はい、
救い出しましょうね。
はい。
第4階層はあっさりと突破したが、やはりない。
That's the route that we just bought, right?
Ooh.
What the fuck?
Thanks to the book.
じゃあ戻らずこのまま行くぞ。
了解。
Interesting.
ガーディアン前ですわね。
この船はそうだな。
Interesting.
Oh
Scary.
no.
助かる。
ルディ、わかるんですか？
いえ、さっぱり。七星ならわかったかもしれませんが。
ルディの恋人ですか？
Oh no.
No, my wife is Sophie.
まさか。
Oh, relief. Shoot.
Man.
Oh no.
いや、ダメだ。
もう少し調べてみたいんです。
よし、ルディ、任せたぜ。
何か引っかかるのだ。この部屋の雰囲気を見れば。
難儀してるな。
ええ。
ま、焦ることはない。一人で答えを出そうとするなよ。ああ、それとな、ルディ。一言言いたいことがあったんだが。あ、いや、これは今はいいか。宿に戻ったらにしよう。
なんですか。死亡フラグって言うんです。
True.
They do.
なんだそりゃ。の式に関わるんだよ。
説教の類ですか？
似たようなもんだ。
Paul's aware.
いいか、ルディ。俺は今、以前は一振りで十分だった。
Oh no.
今はこの二振り来ない。
Paul!
どちらも愛着があるし、役割が違う。ま、いずれわかるさ。
I don't want him to understand. I want him to understand and then be like, no.
どこかで見た。つい最近だ。そして何かが足りない。
What?
ここは転移魔法陣の遺跡に似ている。
Yeah.
銀さん、隠し階段がないか探してみてください。
ああ？
おい、あるぜ先輩。この下に空洞が。よっしゃ先輩、やっちまえ。ここだ。
Wow.
みんな、先輩が隠し階段を見てやるな。
さすが俺の息子だった。
転移魔法陣の遺跡に似てますものね。
落ち着けよ。先輩、スクロール3枚ぐらいよこしてくれよ。
Jesus.
お疲れ様で。
よっしゃ、先に行くぜ。みんな、気を引き締めろよ。
It looks purple down there. Whoa! Okay, that was Mushoku Tensei Season 2, Episode 21. So we are currently in the 5th stratum, and the teleporter we just found, assumingly, is going to take us to the 6th.
Yes,
Okay.
that is what I am gathering, and this is as far as the book writer went.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense as to why the hidden passageway was still hidden and not uncovered before.
Right. I mean, you would definitely think that the book writer wanted to be able to make it out alive to be able to write this book and put it out there as knowledge.
Yeah.
And it seems like they obviously had a high level of not only ability to traverse a labyrinth in terms of fighting monsters or had a party that could fight off the monsters, but they specifically had a knowledge of the teleportation circles. And so they would have deduced from staring at these 3 teleportation circles, like basically that it's gonna take you somewhere random type of situation. And I guess they just couldn't unlock the puzzle, or maybe they didn't want to.
I mean, it definitely helped our case that we were able to travel here using teleporters in a ruin that looked very similar to this.
Well, wouldn't the person that wrote this book maybe have similar...
I don't think necessarily. No, because this was all, like, the way that we got here was just connected to Nanahoshi. It had nothing to do with the author of the book.
That's fair. They were writing it specifically about this dungeon.
Yeah, this labyrinth. And I wonder if the connection to, you know, what we know to be a teleporter that Orsted uses, like, was he somehow integral to this labyrinth being built in the first place or conceived in the first place? Has Orsted been through this labyrinth before? Are there any other connections?
Because of the fact that the stairs were not uncovered.
I mean...
Could you recover it with magic? Is there someone coming in here to maintain it?
Maybe.
To maintain appearances and be like, oh, this hidden passageway has been uncovered. For the next group, it's like a haunted house and you're like, oh, I gotta prepare.
I don't know if it necessarily has to be someone. It could be like just the nature of the labyrinth. Like it could...
Magically.
Like once they step down those stairs and are about to like step on the teleporter, above them could be covered, you know?
That's fair. The magic within the within the building, within the dungeon itself, the labyrinth itself.
I am a bit worried though. Like the entire setup here that we're hoping to find Zenith, and I think we will find Zenith down here, is great and all, but with our like intel of why we think Zenith is here in the first place, didn't they use language like somebody who looked like Zenith came in with a party?
Yep. We do get the idea that it's really more so hearsay.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the best evidence we have is Kishirika trying to look to find Zenith and finding Zenith in a place where they couldn't fully figure out or fully see her.
I, like, as we were getting, you know, further and further through the Stratums, they said that we'd, like, blew through the 4th easily. Mm-hmm. It seems like the walls are getting more and more, like, blue glowy, you know? I wonder if that is us getting closer to the intro where we see where Zenith is.
Yeah, visually, I would say that, thank you for pointing it out, like the crystallization within the cracks in the rocks definitely gives that blue aura that our final battle seems to take place in the intro.
So if you... I'm not saying, like, if you are Rudy, because his way of thinking is completely different, like, and how he's going about things this episode.
And I can't be him. I can't really fully be him.
If somebody is like, actually, I don't know. If somebody's like, that's not your girlfriend, is it? Like, Rudy's in such a mindset of, like, he has no... It's not nowhere close to being on the table that Roxy would be inquiring about that type of thing because of curiosity of if Rudy's romantically involved in anybody. So I don't have any ill feeling towards Rudy not bringing up Sylphie at all.
And if it
feels very like pure and genuine, to be honest.
Every interaction that Rudy has had with Roxy within this episode feels like idolization of your master. It does not feel like romantic on his end. It feels like, oh my god, like I'm so happy to be back in the same room as you, like you're so cool, I look up to you, you taught me magic, you're my master.
Like in my mind, the second Rudy and Roxy are interacting, Rudy is back to that same kid he was the last time we saw her.
That's how it feels upon watching how he's interacting with her, which is definitely why Paul's attempt at trying to say what he wants to say without hurting the morale of the team does not hit, and Rudy does not get what he's trying to say here about, oh, sometimes it's nice to have two and they both play their own roles or whatever, and I'm like, Paul. And we know that Sylphie has said, oh, Rudy, if you think you need a concubine, like, I'm okay with it. And as a viewer, I'm like, no.
No.
Even though, like, I said it during the episode, like, season 1 viewer Anna is like, oh my god, we're meeting with Roxy now that we're older, and she is blushing, and, like, season 1 me knows how much, like, Rudy had a crush on Roxy, and so, like, season 1 me's like, yay, and then season 2 me is like, we have been through a lot, and Sylphie is our wife now, and she is pregnant.
Yeah. It's interesting enough, I don't even have any of those thoughts that are going through my mind because of the nature of just how Rudy's responding and acting. Like, he definitely has thoughts that are like, oh, Roxy's small, she could sit in my lap, but she would slap the shit out of me if I did that. Mm-hmm. I'm her student. Oh, Roxy wants to go to another labyrinth that's easier to, hang out with me. Great. But I do have kids, and I'm sure it'll come, like, once I have time for that, then we'll make it happen. But there's no, like, urgency in the sense of, I need to jump on top of this opportunity while Roxy's still interested,
right,
and that's, like, it's so awesome.
There's a certain scene that I think really lends to that argument in this episode, and that is immediately I got worried, like, oh, Rudy, being Rudy. He was sneaking to Roxy's room when she was resting. He basically just peeks in, sees that she's sound asleep and safe, and he's like, okay, and closes the door.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely lends evidence to how he currently feels of like, oh my god, I'm so glad that we saved her and she's safe and alive and I'm having so much fun, fighting alongside her again.
I do wonder what the moment will be once that information is, relayed of Rudy having Sylphie and a kid on the way. I wonder if it's going to be something through dialogue between characters that have nothing to do with, like, Rudy bringing it up. Like, if Paul's just making, like, a comment out of nowhere, or Ellen Elise, right? Or if Rudy's going to bring it up like it's common knowledge, or like Roxy would have, like, heard of this, even though that there's no... Like, of course, there's no logic that she would have, but because of Rudy's nature right now, it's like, it's such like the disposition of a little kid that it's like, and when we get back, I'll have to like Roxy or Sylphie's gonna be so excited to see you, Roxy, or just something that's very pure and genuine. I could see happening and being that device to relay that information.
Right, and Paul's definitely thinking that information being relayed could definitely injure the current party, and he looked at Roxy, and I think he's mainly like, he knows that Rudy's married and has a kid on the way, and I think he knows, obviously, that Roxy, from, like, Rudy's young, I remember in season 1, Roxy was, like, basically, like, call me when you're old enough.
Yeah.
And... obviously, Paul has been traveling with Roxy, probably knew how excited Roxy was to see Rudy again, meet Rudy again, probably would know how excited Rudy would be, probably might have also heard about Roxy's dream of meeting a man in a labyrinth and being saved by him, basically, and fighting together in there. And he's definitely probably worried about her emotional state upon hearing that Rudy is spoken for, especially when she's already cursed or might be cursed.
So when they say, like, a guardian is probably close, would you say that a guardian's probably, like, the boss of labyrinths?
That's
like,
what it sounds like.
Yeah. I'm kind of in a similar boat. I loved that the spell Rudy cast to help in the fight with Ellen, Elise, and Paul is called Quagmire.
He, like, named it himself, like, that's his special spell.
I like to think that it's, like, through all the mages throughout this entire history going forward, every time somebody utilizes that spell, it will be used with the name Quagmire to exist throughout all of history and time.
Rudy as a character, I feel like will be in history in this world.
Yeah.
Long after he's gone, for some reason. I feel like he will be known, whether that's through, like a spell that people use. And when I was using that Roxy was cursed, I was meaning traumatized.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that was clear. She doesn't have an actual curse. I was just playing around with the word relationship in this episode.
Gotcha. I'm trying to think, when was the first time we got the name Quagmire? I think it was season 2, episode 2.
It was definitely the
Soul.
beginning of season 2, and it was, during that time period, meeting Soul.
Well, my favorite thing I had a couple of favorite things this episode. One of them being, I was so glad that we got more of like Roxy and what Roxy was doing before meeting Rudy and coming to that sense of desperation. I loved seeing like what state of mind she was in, because she was there for an entire fucking month. But above everything else, the best part of this episode to me was the parallel of curses to trauma and how that's being utilized within this world. And that's like it's so cool, because throughout this entire series, we've been able to see the physical repercussions through Rudy from emotional distress and trauma. We've seen him and what it did to him after Eris left. You know, we were able to see panic attacks through him and through even Paul in season 1. And I like that something is so prominent and real and physical within this world as trauma to not wanting to go back into a labyrinth if you don't do it again soon enough, that the only logical term that you could apply to it is something as severe and real as a curse.
Like, which we have a character who has an actual curse, Ellen Elise. And I do think that's interesting, because if you put it on a table of compare and contrast and conversation of how curses are normally talked about in different stories, fiction, nonfiction. If it's a nonfiction story taking place in more ancient times, long time ago, mental health issues and a lot of other things that are hard to explain were often explained or given the title of a curse.
Yeah.
And so I really like using that word here, and that's how this group of people, this society, has started. And it's validating.
Yeah.
Because they're recognizing that it's something that happens to people, that is not something to be ashamed of, but is something to take care of. And they're wanting to take care of it.
There's a way to combat it and fight against it, and keep it from happening. I wonder if this line of dialogue, a curse, I bet that's how this world sees trauma, will recontextualize Ellen Elise's curse in terms of how Cliff and Rudy go about theorizing and combating it.
Interesting. I mean, we've always heard from Ellen Elise that it is a curse, but it would be interesting if it was it appears to us like it's an actual magical curse that has been put on her.
But I just think it's so fascinating, to be able to put these things that have cures as curses, and the cure of it being a non-magical way about it. I could imagine Rudy being a curse healer, and because of his
experience with healing his own curses.
Well, not even just to have a different perspective of the world. It literally is world defining how he sees this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I wonder what when we brought up Nanahoshi, I was I do wish we could FaceTime Nanahoshi or call her.
I was thinking the same thing. I wish we could show Nanahoshi. I was is there a way that we can send a picture of this room to Nanahoshi for help or something? But no, we can't do that, apparently. It's not existing in this world.
Do you imagine that next episode, once we step forward into that 6th stratum, it will be it's all gas, we're not leaving the labyrinth until we're done?
Yeah. I have a feeling that this glowy purple teleporter circle it's a point. Yeah, it feels especially when we say that the Guardian is nearby, it feels like a point of this is the point of we either complete it or we die.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna go with complete it, obviously. Definitely still feeling wary about Paul in regard to his survival at the end of this, especially because we're continuing with this idea that like how he feels about traveling in this labyrinth and fighting alongside his son.
Yeah.
We have Roxy added in as an element for that conversation of that relationship of like person that is older, that is now being able to do something with someone that is younger, that looks up to them, that they want to look up to them or see them a certain way. And we know that Paul is basically cheesing every time Rudy compliments him or says something in this dungeon, and is thinking his dad is appearing to be really strong and
Have you
cool.
gotten stronger? I really liked that, like, having Rudy as a student and teaching him step 1 to have him throw steps 10 to 20 back at you put Roxy into a different type of, like, perspective that would lead her to taking a step back and rebuilding her own foundation in order to improve not only magically but like emotionally and maturity. Yeah, so cool. All right, that's all I have you.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.